Hello guys, welcome to my June TBR. So I did a thing yesterday. I went to the hairdresser and I went short. So last month's TBR was inspired by the Medievalathon and the Tom Toppel Readathon. This month, however, I am not participating in any readathons. At least I don't think. I haven't planned to participate in any. This month's TBR theme is going to be my physical TBR. So all of the books I have with me right now. My physical TBR is huge, but most books are in boxes in the garage. I'm currently living on a property that is not mine. I'm filming right now in the main building, which is why it's a little bit echoey. Nobody's living here and it's quite empty. I am living in the small side building that is on the other side of the garden. So because this is a small building, I do not have a bookshelf full of books. I just grabbed a couple of books from my parents' house and took them with me here, which is why I don't have a lot of books here with me right now. But I went through all of the books I have here right now and I selected all of the books I have not read just yet. So my goal is to make a big dent into the TBR I have with me right now, so I can swap them out for books that I have not read just yet. All of the books I have not read yet I have with me right next to me. It's quite a substantial amount, so I'm just gonna go through all of them and let you know if I'll be reading it, if I won't be reading it, and why. I have not planned my TBR at all, so I don't know what's gonna come out of this. I just go book by book and we'll see. Also, I don't want to get my TBR too ambitious. I would say I don't want a too ambitious TBR because I am going back to work right now and I need to study for exams and I need to work on editing my videos and post them on time. So I don't have a lot of time to read. I do have a book that I need to finish this month, which is quite big. That'll take me a while to read as well. I also am including a buddy read that I will be reading with my mom, but it's difficult to say if it's my June TBR because we have planned it to finish in July. So we're starting at the June 1st and we're going to work through it in 6 weeks. My mom's quite a slow reader, so we took our sweet time to read it, but yeah, I am starting it in June. I'm not finishing it in June. So is it on my June TBR? Yes. But is it on my July TBR? Yes. So first up, I need to finish Little Women. I started it last month for the Medievalathon and Tom Toppel Readathon. However, it was too ambitious to read it all the way in the Tom Toppel Readathon. And I just couldn't find the motivation to finish it after that. But I do like the story so far and I do want to finish it, so I'm carrying it with me to my June TBR. I'm only 51 pages in. Next up is, we're just gonna randomly grab a book. Alright, this is The Librarian of Auschwitz. I do have a Dutch copy of this, which is De Bibliothecaresse van Auschwitz. But if you want to read this in English, it's The Librarian of Auschwitz. The story is about Dita. This is Dita, well now I want to say, but it's 2007, this picture. And this was her back when the Second World War started. And she started a little school inside the concentration camps without the Nazis ever knowing. It is a true story, so I am really excited to read it. Of course, the Second World War is part of my heritage too, is part of my history. I live in the Netherlands. The Netherlands were very much a part of the Second World War. So I'm really excited to read it, but I don't know if I'll be reading it this month. I think I'm going to put this on my TBR because I do really want to get to it. I have had this book for quite a long time, so I really need to get to it. It is 406 pages, so it's not that long. So the font is quite big. Even though the pages are quite tall, I reckon I'll finish this quite quickly. Next up is... oh, I know what this is because it's humongous. This is my Mistborn trilogy set. I'm so happy I got this. I only just got it in the mail. Oh, I'm holding it upside down, I'm sorry. I just got this in the mail because I wanted to read this trilogy for quite a while now and it was on sale. Will I be reading The Final Empire, the first book in the trilogy this month? I don't know. I really want to get to it because I'm really excited to read it, but I just got this, so it hasn't been on my TBR for that long. So I kind of want to say no, you're not allowed to read it just yet, but I'm also quite a mood reader. So if I'm really in the mood for this, I probably will pick it up, but for now I'm gonna say no, it's not on my TBR. Next up, The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. This is published by Oxford University, so if I read this it will make me feel very smart. I have read Homo Deus last month, and the month before that I read Everything is Fucked. So I'm really getting into these non-fiction information type stories because I found out that most of them are written so interesting and sometimes so funny, and I keep reading it, I keep motivated to read it and I want to finish it. Even though it's non-fiction, you don't follow a story, you just follow the author and his train of thoughts, kind of. So yeah, I think I do want to pick this up this month. That will be my one non-fiction information style book that I will read this month. I have a hair on my nose. So book number 3 on my TBR. It's actually only 344 pages. Like this much is all epilogue about this version and notes. Just notes. It ends on page 464, but the actual book itself ends on 344, so it's 100 pages of notes. Which means it's a small book and I can finish it quickly. Next up, Catch Me If I Fall by Nikki French. I own this one in Dutch as well. I got this quite a while ago. Most of Nikki French books are with a cover that has a statue on the cover. I will show you some examples over here. But a while ago I got a couple of these editions. They have a very pretty bright colored spine. I have another one here. This one is purple. And I also got a pink one, but I've already read that one, so I didn't bring it with me here. So yeah, I own this in Dutch too, because I got this when I was still reading just Dutch books. I really like Nikki French writing style. It is an author duo, Nikki Gerard and Sean French, and I believe they are married. Nikki Gerard also wrote a couple of stories under her own name. I do own some of those as well, I believe. This is a thriller about Holly Kraus. Nikki French always writes domestic thrillers or psychological thrillers, and I believe this one is a domestic thriller as well. It's about a girl named Holly, and I believe there are 2 sides to her, and I think it's because she's bipolar, but I'm not too sure. I don't think I'm gonna read this one this month because, and I will show you in a bit, the purple one I just showed you, I'm going to read that one. That is going to be the buddy read that I'm going to read with my mother. So I'm going to skip this one and probably read it later. So, The Secret Smile, or in Dutch, De Verborgen Glimlach. And as you can see, I've already sectioned it off. I did that to my mother's book as well. We both got our own copy, so we can read it together. My mom isn't a big reader, and she doesn't read that fast, so it's like 50 pages each week, which means we'll finish it in 6 weeks because it's 300 pages. I believe this is also a domestic thriller. It's about a girl named Miranda, and she has a boyfriend named Brandon. When she comes home unexpectedly, she finds him reading her diary. They get into a fight, they break up, and then a while later, or I believe a while later, Her sister tells her that she is dating this new guy and she's very much in love, and his name is Brandon. These are, by the way, Sean French and Nikki Gerard, but on the back here in Dutch it says, "Can a smile be the cause of murder?" Might be a murder mystery thriller, but I think it's, yeah, not too sure. Book number 4 of my TBR. Next up, I'm just randomly grabbing one. Morning Star by Pierce Brown, the 3rd book in the Red Rising trilogy. Yes, 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 I'm going to read this month. I have to. I have read Red Rising 2 or 3 years ago. And then I finished Golden Sun, the 2nd book, in March. I want to finish this trilogy so bad. I am enjoying it so much, and Golden Sun left on such a cliffhanger that I want to read this, but I'm also quite intimidated by it because it is 524 pages and the text is so small. I don't know if you can tell, but it's really small. So it's gonna take me a while to get through. This is a story about Darrow. I'm going to tell you the synopsis of Red Rising because I don't want to spoil anyone who hasn't read it yet. Because, well, there probably is nobody in this world that hasn't read it yet, except for me. But Red Rising is about Darrow. He is from Mars, or he lives at Mars. And this is set in like a very far future where people are living on planets as well. Every planet in the solar system is now habited by people. And Darrow is a red. People are classified into colors. So you have gold all the way on the top and you have red all the way on the bottom. And then there's also low reds and high reds. The red are living underneath the surface of Mars. They are trying to mine and get everything ready so the other classes can live on Mars. What they don't know is Mars is already inhabited and they can already live there. Darrow finds out and he is saved from the undergrounds of Mars and he is transformed into a gold. He is then trying to infiltrate the gold society to bring it down from within. I am really excited to be reading Morning Star. That was book 5 of my TBR. We're already at 5 and I have still a lot of books next to me. So, next one. The Secret Garden by Sarah Geo? I own this copy in Dutch as well. Bought it at the supermarket. I was at the supermarket. They had this. I wanted it. It is a historical romance, I believe. And I have read some historical fiction before, but I've never read a historical romance. I'm really excited for it. I love history. So that's the only thing that spoke to me. I really don't know what it's about. That's really bad, I know. I think I'll keep you updated once I'm reading this, what it's about and my enjoyment, etc. But I'm not reading this month because my TBR will be too long. Next up, The Paper Girl of Paris by Jordan Taylor. My camera just got out. So, I was telling you about The Paper Girl of Paris. I pre-ordered this for next month's TBR. I found Jordan Taylor online on Instagram because next month I will be reading debut authors, new authors, indie authors, and I was really interested in this story. It's about Graham and her sister Adeline. Graham and Adeline were very close, but now Graham isn't talking about Adeline anymore, and I'm not too sure what it's about. Because it ends with, and most important, did Graham want me to find the answers? So it is written in somebody else's perspective, I suppose. Somebody describes it as a mystery, romance, and historical tragedy. So, quite a lot of things that sounded really interesting to me, but I won't be picking this up until July, so it's not on my June TBR. Next up. This book does not exist in English, or at least there's no English translation of this. I believe Nino Haritsvili is a Georgian writer. If it's incorrect, I'll put the right country here. but I believe he's from Georgia. And this is a Dutch translation of his book, but I couldn't find an English translation of it. Literally translated, the title says The Cat and the General, and it's about a war and a girl that escapes the war and a general that needs her help years later after the war. So I believe she's the cat and he's the general, but it's quite vague so far. Also, underneath the dust jacket, it's blue all the way, but I really love this blue. I'm really excited to read this because it sounds really interesting, but I won't be picking it up this month, and also I won't be able to talk to you about it because there is no English translation of it. He does have another book that is English translated. If I can find the title, I will put it here, but this one is not translated just yet, so I think I'm gonna put it off for just a little bit, but I am excited to read it. Next up, D-Day by Anthony Beevor. This is non-fiction. It's about D-Day. Of course, the day the Allies came to Normandy to rescue all of us. The book is filled with photographs. I think it's a collection of documents in archives from like 6 different countries or something. Oh, I'm dropping the book. It's never before used material from 30 archives in 6 countries. It's quite a chunker. It's non-fiction, but I'm really interested to read it because it is part of my history as well. It also describes how the Canadian came to Europe to rescue us all, and as you might know, the Canadians rescued the Netherlands because the American allies and the British allies, they went from Belgium to Germany to invade Germany, and the Canadians, they came to the Netherlands. What's also quite interesting is they are described with these kind of maps to see where they went. It's just a story from beginning to end on how everything went after D-Day and maybe before as well. But it's really interesting. It's part of my history, and like I said, I want to read more about my history. Although I have already put The Librarian of Auschwitz on my TBR this month, so I am putting this one off for another month, or at least 2, because July I've already got a team. So I will probably be reading this in August, but I'm really excited to read it. So not on my TBR. And last but not least, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Yes, I'll be reading this month. I've owned this copy for a couple of months now, and ever since I've got it, I just wanted to read this so badly. I really need to start this series. I think I'm the last person on planet Earth to start this series. And I've seen the movie, although it did confuse me quite a bit. I do really want to read the books because I think it is better. Also, I love that this book has pictures like this. That's really fun. I think I will be reading this quite fast. It is 382 pages, so one of the smaller books on this list. It's about a mysterious island and an orphanage run by Miss Peregrine, and the children in this orphanage are everything but normal. We follow a 16-year-old boy named Jacob, and he discovers the island and the orphanage. And I think everything sets off from there. So I'm really excited to read it. So these are the 6 books I will be reading this month. I kind of got a color theme going, like the green, blue, purple kind of story. So 6 books on my TBR this month. I hope I can finish at least 5. 5 is always my goal. I'm currently still listening to Jane Eyre because the month isn't up. Today's the 30th of May. So I still have 1.5 days to finish that. If you like this video, please give it a like, and of course subscribe. I will try to post more regularly this month. I vlog, I work, I edit, I read. I forgot studying. I study. She needs to sort out her priorities.
She needs to sort out her priorities.
Thank you, Ron Weasley. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!